Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack something that is deeply exhausting, but honestly, entirely universal. Have you ever felt like your own brain is just actively working against you? Like it's dragging you kicking and screaming back to things you said or did hours, days, or even literally years ago? Well, today we're going to figure out exactly why that happens and learn how to finally regain control of your mind. So, here's our roadmap. We'll look at the endless conversation loop, how we're wired for social survival, the search for closure, the roles of anxiety, OCD, and perfectionism, and finally, breaking the replay loop. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the endless conversation loop. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever been right in the middle of a conversation, you say something, and then immediately start replaying what you just said in your head while the other person is literally still talking to you? Or, maybe it's a cringy comment from a decade ago or a rough job interview. It just plays on this constant, unrelenting loop in your mind. It is exactly like having your own personal heckler following you around long after the show is over. And man, it is incredibly mentally exhausting. But if you're nodding along right now, the very first thing you need to hear is that this is not a personal flaw. Seriously, you are not broken. Replaying these moments is actually a deeply ingrained human instinct. It's just a fundamental biological drive that's, well, doing its job a little too well. Which brings us to section 2, wired for social survival. To understand this, we have to look back. Thousands of years ago, belonging to your tribe literally meant survival. A single social misstep could equal exile, and exile meant facing the wilderness completely alone. You had to worry about what we'll call the tiger threat, actual physical danger. While today, that exact same survival mechanism is still running in the background of your mind, but instead of protecting you from a literal tiger, it's trying to protect you from the modern equivalent, social embarrassment. Your brain honestly treats looking awkward at a party like a life or death scenario. Moving right along to section 3, the search for closure. Here's the thing about human beings. We are wired to seek closure. Your brain absolutely despises an unfinished story. So when a conversation leaves us feeling a little unsettled, we instinctually hit replay. We meticulously pick apart every single word, the tone of voice, a weird look they gave us. Why? Because we're desperately trying to find some hidden meaning that'll give us the closure we're craving. Your brain is basically trying to fill in the blank pages of a book until the story finally makes sense. And in psychology, this monster actually has a name. It's called post-event rumination. That's the clinical term for meticulously replaying past social interactions to hunt for mistakes or hidden meanings. And honestly, just giving this a formal name is a huge relief. It automatically disarms that self-judgment. It takes it from being this weird thing my brain does to a totally documented, completely manageable behavioral pattern. Okay, let's look at section 4, anxiety, OCD, and perfectionism. While everyone ruminates, for some of us, that fire burns a whole lot hotter and faster. Let's break down 3 specific profiles. First up, social anxiety. Studies show a huge link here. The more you fear negative evaluation, the more intensely you're going to analyze conversations, totally convinced you ruined everything. Then we have OCD, often called the doubting disorder. Here, the rumination is an actual mental compulsion. Maybe you smiled awkwardly and your brain forces you to replay it 50 times just to be absolutely sure of what happened. And finally, maladaptive perfectionism. If your standards are impossibly high, even tiny, completely normal mistakes, like stumbling over a single word, are instantly catastrophized. It creates the perfect storm for a massive mental replay loop. And this leads us into a really deceptive trap, mistaking a mental compulsion for actual problem solving. Your brain is so sneaky. It tells you, hey, we're just problem solving here. We're just making sure we don't ever make this exact same mistake again. But you aren't solving anything. You're just spinning your wheels. Which brings us to the most important part, section 5, breaking the replay loop. Before we get into the how, let's set a realistic baseline. Our goal here is an absolute monk-like silence in your head. Normal reflection is healthy. The actual goal is stopping the painful, obsessive loop that completely drains your confidence and wrecks your peace of mind. To do that, we're going to use 3 concrete steps. Label it, schedule a check-in, and ground yourself. This is an actionable sequence designed to literally transform you from being your brain's servant into its manager. Let's break them down. Step 1 is super simple but incredibly powerful. Label it. The second you catch your mind slipping into that familiar review cycle, just explicitly say to yourself, okay, I'm ruminating again. By calling it out, you immediately separate yourself from the thought. It creates this vital distance and grants you a quick moment of control. Step 2 is a bit of a mind trick. Schedule a check-in. If your brain is absolutely screaming at you to analyze a conversation, tell it, sure, we'll do that, but later. Schedule a quick 5-minute cooling off period first. It's a fascinating paradox, really. By telling your brain you'll ruminate later, it usually just loses interest by the time those 5 minutes are up. You're dictating the terms and killing the urgency. And finally, step 3. Ground yourself. Once you've labeled the thought and delayed it, you need to break this circuit. Just stop. Take a real deep breath. Feel your feet actually resting firmly on the floor. Or step outside and literally feel the sun on your face for 5 seconds. Your brain simply cannot obsess over the past while you are intensely, physically grounded in the present. It hangs a massive closed for business sign right in your mind. Replaying conversations is just part of being human. It comes from a good place, a desire to connect, to be safe, to belong. But when it turns into a prison, it's time to break out. I really want you to hear this. You are not your mistakes. You are not your awkward moments. The ultimate antidote to that inner heckler is learning to be kind to yourself. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Are you going to stay a prisoner to your mental replay loop? Or will you start using these tools, labeling, scheduling, grounding, to finally take back the key? The next time you catch yourself analyzing an awkward goodbye, just remember, the story is already over. You get to decide what happens next. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you put these tools to work today.